Make use of what you already have. Hey everybody, this is Michael with Asymmetrical Preparedness. Today we're talking about making use of what you already have. We've seen shortages, we've seen a lot of things going on in our world today. Increased prices are one of them. So we need to mitigate that the best we can so that we can afford to put the money into the preps that we need in areas where we need to spend money. That is important. Money is always limited. Unless you're one of those people and you're really blessed, that's awesome. I'm very happy for you. Most people are living on a limited budget. So what are some things we can do? These are simple things that are easy, free, or next to free that you can do to better your preparedness level and your system without breaking the bank. And in today's world, that's really important. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about upcycling, recycling, repurposing. As you see around me, my raised beds, that is a table that I broke in half, and some old logs, and some cores, and some old logs. Some lumber, some logs, that's just logs all pieced together. That's a cattle panel fence that I found. Those raised beds over there, that's old roof panels from our metal roof, extra panels. Those are logs. I made use of what I had. This is very important. But on a smaller scale, things like instead of buying fancy fire starting kits or stuff like that, you can take your toilet paper rolls, the cardboard they come on, keep those. Use dryer lint, maybe some oil, something as a fire starter, maybe some petroleum jelly, soak them in that, soak them in candle wax. Those used candles when you get down to burned down there, or the drippings and stuff like that, put them in a pot, melt them. You can also use crayons, broken pieces of crayons, melt them in the pot, pour them over the dryer lint, the cotton out of medication bottles, stuff like that. Shove it in there, maybe find some twigs, some sticks, some pine needles around your yard or out in the park or something like that, some old dry leaves. Shove it all in there, create your own fire starters with dryer lint. Forget if I mentioned the dryer lint part. Dryer lint, very useful. You could actually, it's maybe a weird one, but you could actually use it for insulation. You could use it for pillows. You could sew it in between 2 layers of fabric and make your own quilt. There's lots of uses. You got to think outside the box. It's one way you can save money. Think outside the box. Think of every purpose you possibly can for every little item. I'm not saying be a hoarder. I'm not saying keep a bunch of junk around. But there's a lot of stuff you can use. Like I mentioned, the toilet paper and paper towel rolls. Very useful. Newspapers also, and junk mail. You keep that for starting fires. You can also, in a lot of situations, newspapers you can use for insulation. You can use for fire starters. You can use for wrapping up and packaging, so you don't have to buy that stuff when you're shipping something off. You can crumple it all up in there. There's a lot of different uses for it. Also empty pill bottles. Empty pill bottles are great for storing the little things, making yourself a little fire starter kit, a little fishing kit, putting arrowheads in there for making, so you can make arrows and survival items, make mini survival kits. You can use them for storing seasonings and spices. I use them for seeds. Lots of different uses for those things. You can just don't throw those away. Just peel the label off. They make great little kits. Food scraps for compost, right? Anything that composts, compost it. Even if you don't grow a bunch, make compost. If you possibly can, make compost. Because you can give it away, even for your tribe members. Maybe that's one of your functions within the tribe, is to help create compost for those that have the ability to grow. You got to be doing this stuff. Cardboard. Cardboard is very useful. I use it. I put it on the bottom of all my raised beds. Because we got all this cardboard, all these Amazon boxes and all this stuff. Instead of recycling it, which is okay, but we can reuse it. I line my raised beds with thick layers. I put a ton of cardboard down there because all it does is it keeps the weeds from growing through. It kills the weeds, and then it just composts down anyway. And then whatever. You can use cardboard for insulation. You can use cardboard boxes, obviously, for food storage stuff, depending on what your situation is, how you're going to use it. But there's a lot of uses for cardboard. Soda, juice, and plastic bottles. Soda bottles, juice bottles, anything that's non-dairy, you can clean it, sanitize it, refill it full of water. Water storage is very important. You can reuse those things, keep your water storage. Now, things like milk jugs, orange juice comes in some of those jugs that are really flimsy and they're not that great. Now, what I do with those is I will clean them out really well, and then I will put water in them. I'll fill them up with water, understanding they're only going to last a year. So what I do is every year I just go through the ones that are from last year, I just dump them out, I throw a little date on them with a Sharpie, I just pour it out, put those in the recycling. But for that year, you have that water storage. Now, are you going to drink it? No, I don't use that for potable water for drinking. What I use that is for watering the garden, cleaning stuff, if I need to wash something down or something like that. There's a lot of uses for water other than drinking. You can use it for doing the dishes, stuff like that. Make sure you still clean the containers, of course, really well prior to use. But there's a lot of stuff that we use water for that's not necessarily for drinking. Worn out clothing. Get out of the mentality of just throwing stuff away. People used to darn their socks, right? Which means stitch them back up so that they can keep on using them. We've gotten into this attitude, a lot of people, some people haven't, but we've gotten into this attitude of just throwing stuff away. When it starts getting holes in it or stuff like that, patch it, darn it, sew it up, repair it, keep it operating and useful for much longer periods of time. You could double the life of certain things by just doing simple things like that. Not that difficult. And I'm not saying the clothes that you wear out and about or to work, don't put patches on them. You know, you don't want to look like a hobo. But repair the stuff, patch it, put it in your work clothes box, your training clothes box, your gardening area, you know, whatever, stuff like that. And or just repair it and then put it in a box for extra clothing for when crap hits the fan, right? Yeah, because we're not going to be able to make our own clothing. Most people won't. Jars from jams, jellies, pickles, lots of things come in jars. Reuse those. Not necessarily for canning purposes, because they may not be necessarily made for canning, especially things like pickles. But save the jars, use them for putting in your dehydrated vegetables from your garden, seeds, same kind of things. You can use them for temporary, short-term storage of lots of different items. You could put water in them even. I mean, jars are breakable, though, so you got that limiting factor. But plastic bags, like from the grocery store. I know recently I learned that probably even now, Walmart and all these different stores, well, Walmart specifically, I don't know if it's all other stores, they're not going to be giving out those plastic bags anymore. So keep them so that you can take them with you to the store. Remember to use them that way. We use them for putting dog poop in, throwing it away. I use them for lots of different things. We use them for making snack bags. We just throw a bunch of food in there and snacks, throw them in the vehicle when we're out and about so the kids have stuff to eat, and we don't have to stop somewhere and pay to go to like a restaurant or something. It saves a bunch of money. This is very important. And like Ziploc bags, you can wash them or reuse them. My grandma used to do it all the time. My mom does it. It may seem a little cheap, but you know, being frugal is the key, one of the ways to have financial success. I want you guys all to be financially successful. I want you to be successful in preparedness also. And one thing you can do to make sure that you are successful in preparedness is to subscribe to this channel, to hit that thumbs up, to share the videos, to ring the notification bell, to comment below. That will instantly make you a successful prepper. Kidding, of course. And we have Patreon, links in the description below. And check out our new channel, Haven Ridge Adventures, where we go overlanding, which is directly relates directly relates to bugging out. Haven Ridge Adventures. Check out overlanding, learn about it. It's a great way to get out to know your AO, your area of operations, gather intelligence, identify bug out locations, identify bug out routes, all this stuff. And it's fun, building family memories. I love you guys. Have a wonderful day. and blessings to you and yours.